So here's a sampling of some of the things that I brought out of our survival pack. Now every single one of these items is useful, and that's why they're in there. Although if you had to prioritize, what would be the most useful thing? And if we were to look at these, some of these are fairly self-explanatory, like a flashlight here and hat there. You know what most of these things are. If you had to grab any one thing, let's say if you were in a situation where, let's say we were in a crash or something, or there was a fire, or something where you did not have a lot of time and you had to grab one item to use, what would that item be before you had to run away? Many of you might pick something like a knife or a tool because you could use that to cut sticks down, or for example, a lot of people think that they would have to defend themselves against wild animals and they might want to use a knife for that. And again, it's a very useful tool, although the chances of animal attacks are very, very rare. Some people might say this water bottle, because the water bottle, well, you can fill it with water and carry it with you. And remember, water is one of our main needs. However, you can survive for about how much time? 3 days without water. So, although it is useful, maybe not the most useful. And in fact, actually, the problem with this water bottle is that if I would have wanted to carry water, I'd prefer using something like this metal pot, because I could carry water in this, but also I could cook with this. And therefore, if there was any germs or any bacteria in the water, I could boil the water. And I can't do that in this plastic bottle. So that's actually a more useful thing. Compass would be great if you knew how to use it. If you know how to use a compass and you know where you're going, where you came from, this would be a great thing to have to get back. Because again, we're not trying to live in the woods forever. We want to get ourselves rescued. We are not built to live out here for very long. Now, that might have been the case. People may have been able to survive hundreds or thousands of years ago out here for a very long time, but that's not us. So compass is only useful if you know what you're doing with it. Flashlights are great, as well as matches. However, batteries will run out of flashlights, and eventually this is just something heavy. This hat can also be useful. Again, it's a form of shelter. First aid kit, well, there's a lot of stuff in the first aid kit, so there might be stuff in here that we could use besides medicine. There might be bandages or scissors even, so also possibly useful. However, if I had to pick, the absolute most useful thing here is this tarp itself. The tarp can be used as a form of shelter, but it can be used as so many other things. We can use it to drag wood around or any kind of heavy object around. If I was with a person who was injured, I might have to drag that person around on this tarp. If I was really desperate, I could in fact even unravel the tarp to take some of these fibers and these strings out of here to use as string, to tie things up, or to use as nets for traps if I needed to. This tarp is probably the most versatile, most useful tool in our kit here. So we're going to use this tarp to help us build a shelter next. So now I've made a shelter. I've taken the tarp and I've put it up. I found these 4 trees to put it on. And at first glance you think, that's not bad. You can there's lots of space. And you can, and it'll probably protect you from the rain if you're under here, which is a good thing. However, there are some serious flaws with this design. For one thing, because it's cupped like this, it's concave, if it were to rain, it actually would end up filling with water and just becoming a huge pool and sink down and probably land on me, and so that wouldn't be a very good thing. But a much larger problem is that as much as I think it would protect me from the rain, that would only be if the rain was coming straight down. If there was any kind of wind blowing, it would come in through all this open space. And of course, probably the biggest problem with this is that it does not protect me from the wind or the cold. And remember, shelter is our second highest priority over air, and we need to make sure that we keep as much of our body heat as we can to function properly. So this would actually not keep me very warm. And so in that case, it's actually not a very good shelter. We need to do better than this. So we're gonna keep on looking around to see what we can find. Okay, well, another form of good luck. I was just looking for a great place to build a shelter, and I happened upon this branch that fell just in this way from I don't know what happened here. Probably got hit by lightning or something, but I don't know what happened. But this branch just happened to hit just in this way, and this might actually become a really, really great framework for a shelter. So we're gonna try doing that coming up next. Okay, so this branch ended up being a pretty good foundation for this tarp here, and I just sort of weighted it down on the corners with some rocks, so that way I can get in here. If you look in here, you can see it's a lot better. The sides are a lot more protected. I'm going to cover that a little bit more later on, but it'll definitely keep me much warmer and cozier in here. Oh, I can feel it already. Now you might wonder, what about this area? And this definitely would be a problem if I didn't have anything to cover this. So that's something that I've got to figure out. Luckily, when you're in a survival situation, you got to think about everything that you've got with you. And so I'm going to try to use as much as I can to kind of barricade myself in here. And I can even take off my coat here, because as long as it's warm in here, this place will keep me a lot warmer, and I can feel it's pretty warm in here. If I can sort of tuck this in overhead, I might be much better off. That's pretty good. All right, and it's pretty cozy too. In the event that you can't find a convenient branch that's leaning up against a tree trunk like we did, sometimes you can just take the tarp and lean it across something tall. Doesn't even have to be that much thicker than you are, like this log here, and I can lean it across and bring it all the way down to the ground. This is what we call a simple lean-to. It's smaller than what we had before, but that actually might be an advantage. It will, again, keep our warmth a little bit better, and of course, we've got more tarp to keep me dry when it rains, like this. So there you have it, just a few tips on how to build a simple improvised shelter to keep us surviving until we need to get rescued or something like that. Now you might not have the tools that I have here at home, but you can try this at home using what you've got around the house. Maybe a blanket, maybe some chairs, or your bed, or some string that you've got lying around. I hope what you've learned from these lessons is that we're going to try to improvise and maximize the tools that we have here. So here's the challenge for you. How good of a shelter can you make with the fewest possible resources, and the fewest, simplest resources that will be a really, really good shelter that will keep you safe? So when you respond, upload a video of you in Flipgrid, show what kind of shelter you were able to build. I look forward to seeing your work.